So the key is not just to look at numbers for inspiration, because that
Yeah,
won't
yeah,
help you
yeah.
at all. The key is to say, where are my calls to action? Like, do I have forms that I want people to fill in? Do I have buttons and links that I want them to click? Do I have items I want them to put in a shopping cart? What's going on? Do I
Mm.
want them to subscribe to my newsletter? Are they doing that? If not, that's when you want to start getting into the, potentially why not. But that's the way to approach it, is to ask questions. You talked about knowledge articles. I mean, one of
Yeah.
the things that I see a lot is blogs that don't have good calls to action. So a blog
Mm.
often could refer back to, it could be talking about how to use something or a
Mhm.
story or a case study, right? And then you can move back to, or you can link back to the
Yeah.
page where you sell that product or the page where you sell that service.
Right.
So even with these pages that you think are just sort of knowledge, it's still worth really, actually really important to look at how you're leveraging them.
Mhm. Welcome everyone to another episode of Your Lab Central. Today I'm joined with Philippa. So, Philippa, would you like to tell everyone why they should be excited about this conversation?
Yes. I'm Philippa Games. I just wrote a new book called Website Wealth, a business leader's guide to driving real value through your analytics. And my message is about the fact that if you have a business and you have a website and you're not making really effective use of your analytics, or if you don't have analytics at all, then you're really flying blind with everything that you're doing with that website. You really don't know what's going on, what visitors are coming, what they're doing, what's working, what's not working, and where you're missing opportunities and where you're wasting whatever resources you're putting into it.
Mhm.
So kind of important since most people have a website these days.
So, yeah, I'll talk from personal experience. First questions. I mean, I set up a website, I set up the Google Search Console, I set up the Google Analytics. What's the first thing that I should be doing, right? I don't know. I have no clue what to do with it. I just see a set of keywords popping up on the Google Search Console every other day that, yeah, my website is getting listed on so and so keyword. And Google Analytics shows me, yeah, there's one person coming in from the USA, somebody from India, somebody from China. I don't know. What do I make out of this information?
Right. Yeah, it's a great question, and obviously it's a question that a lot of business people have because you look at that page of Google Analytics and it's just numbers and charts and graphs, and there's an awful lot of it. So um, the real point is not just to look at the numbers and hope that
Yeah.
something jumps out at you. The real point is, what is your website supposed to do?
Mm-hmm.
So don't start with the numbers, start with your website,
Mm-hmm.
right? Do you have a clear picture of who you want to come to the website and why, and what you want them to do, and
Mm-hmm.
not and what you want them to do on every page of the site, because what you have to do is ask for what you want. So every page of your site, and not just the site itself, should have its own strategy. So there should be a call to action or a direction for that visitor, because people, if they try to figure out what they should do next, they probably won't,
Yeah.
or they won't. It's quite likely that they won't do what you want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So so look at a page and say, okay, what's going on here? For example, if it's a long page, we are seeing quite long pages now because of mobile, right? But if you're looking at
Yeah.
it on a laptop or even on a mobile, do people scroll that page?
Yeah.
So if it's going on for a long way, do people actually scroll all the way down it? Because if they don't, then you may have important content that they never see.
Correct.
And if they never see that content, then they're not going to do whatever that content wanted them to do.
Yeah, that's right.
So, for example, you said you have Google Analytics, right? So Google Analytics by default will
Mm.
measure 90%. When somebody goes 90% of the way down the page,
Mhm.
it will tell you that, right?
Yeah.
So the idea there is to tell you if people go to the bottom of the page. But the problem with that is that 90% of the way down a long page is a long way.
Yeah.
And so, for example, you can customize it. So one of the things I do as a consultant is I work with Google Tag Manager to
Mhm.
customize the Google Analytics, which is a really powerful thing to be able to do, so that you can customize to measure when people go, say, 25, 50, 75% down the page, as well as the 90%. So that way, you've got a much better idea of how much of your content on each page people are actually seeing.
Mhm.
And that way, if they're not seeing something that's really important, now you have the information that you need to do something about that.
Mhm.
So the key is not just to look at numbers for inspiration, because that
Yeah,
won't help
yeah,
you at all. The
yeah.
key is to say, where are my calls to action? Like, do I have forms that I want people to fill in? Do I have buttons and links that I want them to click? Do I have items I want them to put in a shopping cart? What's going on? Do I
Mm.
want them to subscribe to my newsletter? Are they doing that? If not, that's when you want to start getting into the, potentially why not? But that's the way to approach it, is to ask questions.
Right. Now, just curious, I just came across this tool while I was doing experiments with my website, right? It's a little related to UI and UX. It's called Microsoft Clarity. If you've heard of it,
Mhm.
surely. It connects to Google Analytics, but it also gives you a different view about where people are actually clicking on the website itself, like giving you a screenshot. How is that different? I mean, those heat maps could also become key insights, right, as to customer behavior or visitor behavior.
Yes. And I agree. And I actually do use Microsoft Clarity. And one of the nice things about it is that you can integrate it with Google Analytics.
Yeah.
So that, for example, one of the powerful things you can do with Google Analytics is to create what we call a segment.
Yeah.
A segment is a group of people, visitors with a certain characteristic, like they come from a certain place geographically, or they've seen a certain type of content or something like that. So you want to hone in on, or they've come from a specific, Facebook ad or something like that. So you want to hone in on a group of people. You can pass that segment through to Microsoft Clarity. And
Mm.
what that does is it's a screen recording, so you can
Yeah.
actually visually see what people are doing on your site in
Yeah.
real, not in real time, but actually follow their mouse movements around. And that can be really helpful, because if people are sort of looking at something, they might hover their mouse over it, so you can see
Yeah.
how they interact with your page, like, and where they go and where they don't go, and what they're interested in on the page. And how long they stay. I mean, obviously, it's recording the length of the visit. So it's very, very interesting information that I do. Yes, I do like using it, because it's a very good kind of complement.
hmm
And as I said, it integrates with Google Analytics so that you can pass data backwards and forwards.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to search engine, I mean, there are a lot of things coming out, right? SEO, SEM, paid SEO, and I don't know. I mean, there's just too many things I don't remember currently. So, where does an entrepreneur start, right? When say they're setting up a website, what are the core basics that they need to take care of?
Well, I think, there's a lot of questions that you're going to ask where the answer is it
Hmm.
depends,
Right.
right? I mean, if it's an e-commerce site, then obviously
hmm
that's more complex, and your e-commerce has got to be working,
hmm
right?
Okay.
If it's a thought leadership site, then you're
hmm
probably including podcasts like yours, right?
hmm
So it really depends on what the point of the site is.
Right.
And that's really the whole thing, as I keep saying, because with the analytics as well, the point is,
hmm
what's your site supposed to do? So
hmm
the most important thing that you can do is be really clear about your strategy and your goals and what you're trying to do with your website. And then things kind of come from there. So there's no
Yeah,
sort of one fixed rule of first you
of
do this
course.
and then you do
Yeah.
this.
It's just that it just popped into my head, so I asked that question. Um,
Right.
how have you been engaging with clients in this particular field? You must be having your own website, so you must be running a lot of stuff with Google Analytics on your own domain, right? How's that coming along?
Well, unfortunately, I'm the classic example of the cobbler's children have no shoe. I'm not really. I'm actually in the process of updating my entire website. So if anybody goes to it and it doesn't look great, that's okay, because I'm working on it. And then when I I do spend a lot more time on other people's analytics than I do on my own. I have to be honest.
And how's social media coming along for you? I mean, do you spread a lot of word about how things should be on other people's websites, and do people engage with it? I saw your,
I'm
yeah.
mostly on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And that's because I'm a business consultant and that's where professional people are networking. I'm not so interested in working on Facebook and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
um yeah.
Now, how is it working out for you? How is LinkedIn working out for you? Do you share a lot of posts about thought leadership, as sharing specific tips and tricks? And do people respond to that, or is it something different kind of content that people respond to when you share stuff?
Well, my book came out about a couple of weeks ago, so I'm about to start obviously posting excerpts of the book and
Hmm.
pieces from that. I'm posting about it and posting other content.
Hmm.
Um, I do use LinkedIn for a lot of networking, and I do find that very, very helpful. So, I like to increase my followers. If anybody listening to this wants to find me and connect, that would be great.
Hmm.
Um, and then I do use it to talk to people and find people that I want to engage with, as well as posting content. So I do find it very helpful from that perspective.
Now, there's one thing that usually happens with a lot of websites, right? Which is called leakage of traffic. Uh, can you explain what it actually means and where people can plug the holes?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And that's a really good point for analytics, because leaking means that people are leaving before you want them to,
Hmm.
and they're not doing what you did want them to, right?
Right.
And so, looking at the analytics, you can look at where people do leave the site, do exit the site. Um, and if that's not the right page that should have been the point of exit, then you can start to sort of try to figure out why. And obviously, what analytics can tell you is what happened,
Hmm.
um, but it can't necessarily tell you why. And that can be obviously a lot more tricky
Yeah.
to figure out. And if there's sometimes it's really obvious, like there's a broken link. Sometimes it's because, as I said, they're not scrolling down the page and they haven't seen that call to action or whatever it might be. Sometimes, a classic one is you ask them to fill in a form, and one of the biggest reasons that people don't complete forms is because you're asking too many questions at the same time. So,
Right.
you can test that. Um, so it's really kind of find out where
Yeah.
something's happening that
Mhm.
isn't the thing that should be happening. And then you have to try and figure out why and what you can do about it. And sometimes, it's really worth just talking to people. And if you have, customers or friends or people who use the site,
Yeah.
um, ask them, well, what didn't you like here? What happened? Or that kind of stuff.
Now, with thought leadership websites, right, which share a lot of blogs, they have a lot of knowledge articles on their website, right? Sometimes, not every page is kind of designed to have a call to action. Say the About Us page, or something to do with the history of the company, okay, or some other knowledge article, right? Um, should such pages also be designed for some kind of transaction to happen on them, right? Do you?
Well, first of all, the About Us page is actually quite an important page because it does, in my experience, especially on B2B sites,
Hmm.
if people come to your website because they found you and they don't know who you are, they
Hmm.
often do go to the About Us page because they do want to know who you are, especially if they're
Right.
going to do business with you, and they want to know if they can trust you and you
Hmm.
feel credible and that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Um, so it's definitely worth having an About Us page.
Hmm.
Um, but of course, that About Us page should link through back to the rest of the website.
Hmm.
Um, and and you can have links within the text, to your products and services and whatever, if that's relevant.
Hmm.
You talked about knowledge articles. I mean, one of
Yeah.
the things that I see a lot is blogs that don't have good calls to action. So a blog
Right.
often could refer back to, it could be talking about how to use something or a
Hmm.
story or a case study, right? And then you can move back to, or you can link back to the
Yeah.
page where you sell that product or the page where you sell that service.
Right.
So even with these pages that you think are just sort of knowledge, it's still worth really, actually really important to look at how you're leveraging them.
Mhm. Now, in this age of AI, I had this conversation with somebody else as well, who was basically an SEO expert. But just for conversation and from an analytics perspective, okay, there's a lot of search whenever people are searching on Google per se, and they have a question or they just type a few couple of words, right? And then Gemini actually gives them a summary of everything. So, how do you, I mean, convert or modify your knowledge article, okay, in such a way that the page is no longer just an article or a single call to action, but more transactional, right? Because you want people to visit that page and not just read a summary of that which has been written by Gemini.
Yeah, and I'm going to duck that one because I have to be very clear that I'm not an SEO
Mhm.
expert. Not an SEO AI
Yeah.
expert for sure. What is interesting is in the analytics now, you can see where people are coming in from AI.
Mm-hmm.
So that's now kind of a separate marketing channel. So,
Yeah.
you can see, I mean, I still think that depending on the nature of the search,
Mm-hmm.
um, if somebody's doing a search for deeper information, then they might see the snippet in AI, but then they might click on the site still for the additional piece.
Mm-hmm.
I know that search traffic is definitely dropping because of AI,
Yeah.
but I'm not the person to ask about how to handle that within search. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. So, when it comes to analytics, right, Google Analytics, is there any scope for involving AI in it? Have you been using it in some form?
Yeah, so first of all, it has AI built in.
Mm-hmm.
And so it will do basic stuff for you. Like, you can log on and it will say, oh, there's a peak of traffic on such and such
Yeah.
a day, or this happened or that happened, where it can see
Mm-hmm.
things that are out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
It's also really useful for doing a lot of, you can say, make me a nice graph of this table or
Right.
something, and it will do that. So,
Yeah.
that it's taken a lot of the sort of grunt work out of analytics. Um, the so you can have it do sort of basic analysis. What do you see? That kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What I don't think it can necessarily do well yet is the so what.
Yeah.
Right. So the same thing as I was saying before. So, okay, something isn't working here, and it can tell you what isn't working or what happened, or
Right.
but the key question then is, what am I going to do about it?
That's true.
In the context of my business.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think, I mean, hopefully this is true still, that AI is yet potentially as good as a human is
Mm-hmm.
at figuring that out in like I said, in the context of your specific business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really good at, it's like your intern, right? It can do the basic stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Okay. Obviously, things change from business to business, right? And looking at websites and then Google Analytics changes a lot. Uh, Say for your own website, you have an analytics dashboard. What are the top things that you keep on your homepage that people should, that you track and you suggest other people to track?
I don't have an analytics dashboard myself
Okay.
necessarily
Uh,
because well, and that's not to say you shouldn't, but
mhm.
the thing that you should focus on is having a few key metrics that are the
Yeah.
metrics that you're tracking right now.
Hmm.
So one of the big mistakes people make is to try and track everything they possibly can because you
Hmm.
can't use it.
Hmm.
So the question when you are looking at numbers, the real question is, what are you doing this for? What are you going to do when you have when you have the data? What are you going to do with it? Like, are you going to try and make changes? Are you going to try something different? What are the most pressing issues on the site right now? So, we've talked about finding out where your leaks are.
Yeah.
Um, those are the things you should be addressing, right? Finding out what's not going as well as it should be. And so, but the thing is, it's really often a good idea to try and change one thing at a time,
Right.
because if you change multiple things at a time,
Hmm.
you don't necessarily know what's working and what's not working on each case because you don't know the impact of each one on the other one, right?
Right.
So if you're testing the wording on a call to action button, just do that.
Okay.
Um, so the point is that your dashboard should change because the most important metrics to you at any one time will change because you resolve your call to action button, you decide on your best wording, and you move on to
Right.
optimize something else, right?
Mhm.
So the metrics you were using to measure that button are no longer the most important things to you.
Mhm. No.
So that's it's a constantly evolving kind of dashboard, I think is the answer.
Yeah, I surely agree. I mean, the first thing that needs to be done is to find out the reason we want to have that dashboard in itself. Is there something that we want to track, or if there's nothing to track, then probably we don't need a dashboard. We just want to look at some number on a daily basis and then we can keep track of it.
Right. Right.
And because we don't have a
And
reason
and
to,
and yeah, the other thing is if you have multiple people in your organization, so it's not just you looking at the
yeah.
numbers, but people with other responsibilities, then honestly, they don't want to see a load of numbers that aren't necessarily particularly relevant to them.
Mm-hmm.
So then you would want to have several different kind of dashboards. Each one would be particularly relevant to the person that it's going to.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's true. I mean, the question comes first, and then whatever result that needs to be generated from it comes later, right? Accordingly. Uh, can you tell me something more about your book that you mentioned that is soon coming out, that has already come out? So,
Come
yeah,
out, yeah.
yeah. So, how's it coming? Like, how are people responding to it, and what do you want to share about it?
Yeah, so again, it's called Website Wealth,
Mm-hmm.
um, a business leader's guide to driving real value from your analytics. It's the point of the book is that it's designed for business owners, like it's kind of like you're talking about, who don't want to get involved in all the charts and graphs and weeds of the
Yeah.
data. Maybe want to hire somebody like me for a while just to get things sorted so they know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody like me is not that effective unless I know what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about explaining, even if you don't want all the technical jargon. So the book is written in English, right? There's no
Yeah.
techie jargon, there's no charts, there's no graphs in the entire thing. So it's not a training manual for how to use an analytics package because there's plenty of stuff online,
That's true.
like about how to use GA4 or something like that. It's a book for business owners about how to think. What questions should you be asking about your website?
Mm-hmm.
What should you understand about your strategy? What kinds of things can analytics tell you? Why should you care about analytics?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then lots and lots of stories and examples where, we found leaks and examples of what a leak is and what we did about it. And
Mm-hmm.
then beyond that, where we found opportunities for new products or services or target markets
Mm-hmm.
based on data about stuff that was going on the site that we could never have otherwise known.
Yeah.
So it's not just about how to make what's currently happening better. It's also about how analytics can give you insights that will help you to actually grow your business. So
Okay.
it's a hopefully easy to read book. It's not that long. It's
Mhm.
about 130 pages.
Uh,
But as I said, it's designed for the business owner. It's designed to be easy to read but thought-provoking.
mhm.
It actually, when it came out a couple of weeks ago, it achieved bestseller status on Amazon in 3 categories, which I was very excited about,
Right. Okay.
including web analytics, of course, but also including things. It was number 2 in global marketing, which is pretty cool.
All right.
And of course, if anybody would like to buy it, it's now available not only on Amazon but on any of your favorite book sources. So, and you can get it in paperback or in Kindle,
Okay.
or digital format, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I know I'm just stuck at this point. The name itself, obviously, the website is a source of wealth, right? So I guess that's where the name comes from. And yeah. So one
Mhm.
random question that I ask, how many businesses have you helped when it comes to growing their analytics, getting better at it?
Um, so I'm a consultant, but I've also done a lot of speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, I've been around for a bit. So the answer to that is I've helped nearly 500 different clients. I've reviewed thousands of websites because of this all the speaking as well. So,
Yeah.
I've yeah, I've done a lot.
So thank you so much, Philippa. Thank you for joining me in on this episode. I'm sure there are a lot of people going waiting out there for you to have a review of their own websites, and then probably we can work on some analytic stuff together as well someday. Who knows?
That would be
And
great. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
Thank you so much for joining me in on this episode. To the audience, if you like the conversation, do leave a like. If you have a question, the comment section is open, and even if you want to add to the conversation, still there. And don't forget to subscribe before closing the window. Uh, and Philippa, sorry about not asking. Where can people get in touch with you if they have something to
So
ask?
my website is websitesthatwin.com, websites that win. And as I said on LinkedIn, if you can find me because I'm the only person with my name on LinkedIn.
All right, yeah. Thank you so much for joining in again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.